much. Yeah, first of all, I will introduce myself. Yeah, my name Karna Wijaya. I'm from Gadjah Mada University. Yeah. Okay, in this occasion, I would present my work. Yeah. The title I forget, but I think the oxide-based catalyst. Yeah, on biofuel preparation. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's restart. Yeah. Uh, uh, I'm sorry, I mute this video, yeah, because it's too heavy, I think, yeah, for my computer. But that's everybody can hear me good, yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. It's okay. Everyone can see it.
Ya, gambar jelas Pak. Bisa diperbesar.
Oke, saya ini ya. Saya share dulu. It's okay? Clear? Halo?
Ya, sangat clear, Pak. Fine.
Jelas, Pak.
Ya?
Ya, cukup besar, Pak. Ya, telah terlihat dengan jelas, Pak.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, this is title of my presentation today: oxide-based catalyst for biofuel preparation, but it's not actually biofuel. I will also discuss on the use of oxide-based catalyst for conversion of plastic into fuel. Yeah. Okay. This is my group, research group, yeah, laboratory nanomaterials energy research group, laboratory of physical chemistry, Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, ya, Universitas Gadjah Mada, Yogyakarta, Indonesia. This is my research group. It was my pengukuhan, ya, as professor in Gadjah Mada University, but so I think it's a long time, yeah, more than 10 years ago. And my research focus today is catalyst and photocatalyst, adsorbent, antibacterials, biofuel, computational chemistry on the materials, and supramolecular chemistry. The focus of my research actually is nanomaterials, and their application and the energy and absorption of area. This is my research roadmap of my research. I've worked in this field of nanomaterials, especially nanolayers and nanoporous materials, since 1988. After graduation from Sarjana, bachelor in chemistry in Gadjah Mada University, my focus research is on nanolayer and nanoporous materials. Actually, my skripsi, final project is also on nanolayer materials. And I'm still working in this field, consistently until now. Okay, before we discuss materials further, material catalyst, I mean, it would be better, if I introduce the nanomaterial first, the concept of nanomaterials, Okay, materials can be found, around us, In other words, we are surrounded by materials. Actually, our body itself is also materials, and our ancestors used these materials to make various kinds of tools, such as axes, arrows, sword, and so on. As, I think everybody know this. Until now we depend on this on the materials. And for nowadays, the nanomaterials is one kind of materials is very interesting, because their characteristic in behavior. The definition of nanomaterial is, in principle, is material with dimension less than 100 nanometers. Some say that less than 1,000 nanometers. but it's usually around 1 and 100 nanometers. It's very small materials. Yeah, we can see the comparison between Buckminster fullerene, for example, is nanomaterials, yeah, and virus. Yeah. No, this is coronavirus. Okay, our materials is less than coronavirus. Yeah. So the material with the nanoscale is material that is very attractive, yeah, because they have very different characteristics compared to what they show in macroscopic scale. Yeah. For example, the bulk platinum material one is inert, yeah, as accessories, yeah, but it can be turned into catalytic materials if its size is reduced until less than 100 nanometers. Okay, this is some examples of nanomaterials. Yeah, nanocrystals, nanoclusters, nanoparticles, nanowires, nanotubes. Yeah, diameters. For example, this nanoparticle of gold, thionamide, yeah, kept gold. Yeah, yeah, we can see that the dimension. The diameter of the nanoparticle, the particle is less than 100 nanometers. Yeah, you can see it. And the right side, we see gold nanorods. Yeah, the diameter is also less than 100. Another example is gold nanospheroid nanowire. Yeah. It's nanochain. Yeah, the diameter also less than 100. So nanoribbons and nanotube. Yeah. Okay. In the context of nanocatalyst materials, yeah, we will discuss later. We can divide the matrix, yeah, into two kinds, yeah. Especially in context in my research, yeah. The first is nanolate materials, and the second one is nanoporous materials. Yeah. This is some examples nanolate materials, graphene, organic nanolate materials, yeah, very famous. Yeah. Clay, silicate clay, aluminum silicate, yeah, for example, montmorillonite, smectite, siponite, kaolinite, and other materials, yeah, very attractive materials such as layer double hydroxide, transition metal oxide, and so, etc. Yeah. Then also the application of this material for many purposes, such as for drugs, gene delivery, drug delivery. Yeah. I think it's very famous research also in Indonesia. Photothermal therapy, magnetic resonance imaging, BSE, antimicrobial, very so many applications, yeah, of this structure. Okay, the next one, I think is this example and this application. I will not discuss it. You may see it in our materials that I have shared to the copy. This is organic layered nanometer. We have discussed. I have told previously. Graphene, for example, this graphite is very important. Organic layered nanometers for lithium battery, for example. So the ion can be put into the interlayer and can move freely in this interlayer. Another example of inorganic nanomaterials, yeah, put here, yeah, I show in this presentation. For example, like double hydroxide, I've told previously also, orthosilicate, yeah. My work is intensively related with the bentonite or smectite, yeah, this kind of layered materials. Clay, often called nanoclay, is a layered aluminosilicate compound with interlayer cation and generally interchangeable. Yeah. You can modify these materials, yeah, in the interlayer of these materials, yeah, with various kind of materials such as catalyze, etc. Yeah. Active catalyze, nickel, chrome, etc. And we can also modify this clay with oxide, yeah, into pilot materials. Yeah. Hydrotalcid, yeah, it's another lead material, attractive lead materials. Bentonite is abundance, yeah, in Indonesia. Deposit of these materials is, I think, is very huge, yeah, more than 400, sekira 400.000, ya, 400,000 ton, ya, in Indonesia. Because Indonesia is volcanic country, we have many deposit on these materials. This bentonite characteristic, for example, high thermal stability, expandable layer, partially modified in the surface area. And all the materials that we have used in our laboratory as matrix, yeah, for catalyze is nanoporous materials. Yeah. We can classify the materials, yeah, into three porous size regime. Yeah. The first is microporous, smaller than 2 nanometers. Mesoporous, yeah, between 2 and 50 nanometer. Macroporous, larger than 50 nanometers. Nanoporous material consists of regular, organic, and inorganic. The framework is organic or inorganic, yeah, framework, yeah, supporting a regular porous structure, and the size of the pore is generally 100 nanometers. So we can classify the materials according to the size of the pore, and in this case we call it as nanoporous materials. Okay. This classification of nanoporous materials depending on pore size, yeah, micro, meso, macro, and depending on the building framework, yeah, purely inorganic, for example, silica, organic and organic hybrids, and purely organics. Scheelite, yeah, we have talked previously in MCM, and pilot and delaminated clay. Yeah. But clay is very attractive materials and easily produced, yeah. And we have many deposit, I stated previously. We can modify these materials, yeah, using oxide precursor, yeah, for example, using aluminum chloride, titanium chloride, etc. And then through hydrolysis process, following by calcination, etc., we can obtain porous materials. Yeah. The picture says represent porous materials, yeah, built from clay materials. This is organic porous materials, yeah. Oh, sorry. Organic, organic porous materials, yeah. Porous materials, yeah. For example, sulfur-containing structure motif in nanoporous carbon-based material. We have used also this material for biodiesel catalyze, yeah. It's very cheap materials and easily exploited. Okay, next we talks a little bit about the catalyst and catalysis. Yeah, I think the students are familiar with this definition. Yeah. According to Oswald, the catalyst is substance which changes direction rate, yeah, without affecting overall energetic of direction and term of catalyst, and the phenomena is known as catalyst. That means the catalyst is substance that involved in the process of reaction process and actually consumed, but and then after that we can obtain this catalyst in the end of the process. And the catalysis is the process of increasing the rate of chemical reaction by adding a substance known as catalyst, which is not consumed in the catalyst. Yeah, it is so many definition on catalysis. It is not consumed in the catalyst reaction and can continue to act repeatedly. In the industry, mostly we use solid catalyzer, called as heterogeneous catalyst for ammonia synthesis, for example, sulfuric acid manufacture, cracking of petroleums, hydrogenation of unsaturated hydrocarbons, oxidation hydrocarbon in automobile exhaust, etc. The right side is some photograph of the heterogeneous catalyst. In industry, we don't use powder, mostly in the form of granular piece and something like that. To anticipate the pressure drop of the process. Okay, characteristic of the catalyst remain unchanged. The meson chemical composition during the reaction, only small quantity we need, and catalyst doesn't change the value of
You can hear the seminar. You attend, yes, attendant.
Okay, some terminology.
Seminar.
Conversion, fractional.
Full English.
Okay, some terminology I think is familiar also ya. Jadi conversion, fractional conversion, and then this is selectivity. Selectivity of the material. Yes, the selectivity. That's mean the mole of B form divided by the mole of another form. For example, A to B, A to C. Then the mean selectivity of B is mole of B divided by mole of C. Okay, selectivity, I think it's very important. The ratio of the mole in certain product of the maximum yield, of the certain product to the maximum possible mole of that product which can be formed. Type of catalyst we have talked previously. Catalysis can be divided in the heterogeneous, homogeneous, depending on whether the catalyst exists in the same phase or substrate. If the same phase in the substrate, we call is a homogeneous. If different with the phase of the reagent, we call it heterogeneous. Some say that heterogeneous is solid catalysis, and mostly also dominated by acid, solid acid materials, material asam padat. Heterogeneous catalyst examples, we have talked also previously. Heterogeneous catalyst, we can divide the heterogeneous catalyst into two classes. The first is supported and the bulky. The bulky material, for example, this, heterogeneous catalyst, bulk catalyst, and supported catalyst. Bulk catalyst, for example, ferry oxide, as catalyst. And supported catalyst, for example, nickel supported on matrix, on zeolite or clay or pellet clay and aluminum silicate, etc. What the advantage and disadvantage? Homogeneous catalyst, advantage, all the catalyst is exposed to the reactant, the easily modified reaction, and very, very effective. Reaction mechanism are well understood by scientists until now. This can be difficult to remove, to handle this homogeneous catalyst. Can be difficult to remove from the products for reuse. Meanwhile, heterogeneous catalyst has some advantages. For example, easily removed from product. So industry like this kind of the materials because easily removed from production by filtration and also easily recycled. Disadvantages of these materials on the effective on the surface reaction mechanism is poorly understood until now. In general, poorly defined active site. Okay, but we have another example by the catalyst. You can see or read it in internet and photocatalyst. So I work also with photocatalyst process to remediation of to remediate the pollutant. Also, we also make some antibacterial material. use the principle of the photocatalysis. In chemistry, photocatalysis, the acceleration of photoreaction and depression of catalysis. So we need the catalyst, semiconductors, and we need a photon. In this case, ultraviolet light. And nowadays, scientists try to use also visible light there to make a photocatalysis effective. Because the visible light is abundant, is easily obtained, more easily obtained than visible. Nanocatalyst, this is our theme today. That's actually homogeneous, heterogeneous, and then the dimension is more than 100 nanometer. It can be the pore or diameter or the size of the particle less than 100 nanometers. The advantage of the catalysis is minimal chemical waste, safer catalysis, optimum feedstock utilization, energy efficiency, reduce global warming, and improve the economy. Okay. Some parameters important in the catalysis process is activity, selectivity, stability. We have discussed previously also. This also. For heterogeneous catalyst, we have active phase. Metal that provide active site where the chemical reaction take place, support or carrier, a surface area oxide, which disperse and stabilize the active phase. Oxides such as silica, alumina, titania, zirconia, stannate, etc. And the promoter, additive which improve catalyst properties. Some metals can work as promoters. So for heterogeneous catalysis, mostly we use solid materials, solid that possess acidic properties in the surface. Some materials that many materials that normally usually used for these purposes, silica-based solid acids, zeolite-based solid acid, polymer-based solid zircon, carbon-based, and hydroxyapatite-based solid acid. Sometimes we call for zirconia, sulfated zirconia, titania, silica, etc. Because this material provide both Bronsted and Lewis acid. Bronsted acid is very important for hydrocracking process and acid catalysis process, and also provide Lewis acids for hydrocracking. It's very important acids. This is a structure, the proposed structure of sulfated alumina, for example, and sulfated stannate, tin to oxide. Okay, it's Bronsted acid and Lewis side. And then the sulfated titania, I use it mostly in my research, Lewis acid side and the Bronsted acid side. And then sulfated aluminosilicate, for example, clay, smectite, zeolite, etc. Silica sulfuric acid, in literature we found the acidified silica sulfated acids. This also provide a proton. It's very important for acid process. And then the next, ini zirconia, I think zirconia, zirconia. Just a moment, sorry. Okay, zirconium phosphate, zirconium also provide proton. For bulk catalyst, especially for cheap materials, the active component are cheap. For example, ferroxide, the catalysis process through the precipitation method. Yeah. And the materials not dispersed on the matrix. Yeah. So we use these materials without disperse it into matrix. Yeah. For example, ferroxide. Yeah. Sometimes bulk catalyst, also known as precipitate catalysis, produced when the active component is cheap. Yeah. And the preferred method of production is precipitation. Yeah. And one or more component in the form of aqueous solution mix and then to precipitate as hydroxide or carbonates. Yeah. But it's easy to agglomerate. Yeah. The sintering process, yeah, that can agglomerate these materials because the particles can join together, yeah, because of the heat treatment. Supported catalyst, mostly used in industry. Usually an active component is dispersed over relatively inactive or less active material. It usually has high surface area. Platinum dispersed on alumina, nickel, wolfram dispersed on alumina, etc. Yeah. This is an illustration of supported catalyst. This is active materials dispersed on the matrix, yeah, on support materials. Yeah, yeah, illustration of the with this. It has some advantages, yeah, because we can avoid the sintering. Yeah, if the process, of course, if the process is good, yeah. If the process is not good, is sintering is also possible occur. Yeah. Okay, there is catalyst preparation, both bulk and spotted catalyst. Yeah, this method, the presentation, salt gel method, other methods, hydrothermal synthesis, flame hydrolysis, and preparation of spotted catalyst mostly is impregnation. Yeah, or impregnation. Oxide catalyst preparation, single oxide, metal mixed oxide. Yeah, more than one. We have also experienced, yeah, combined with this material, silica and zirconia. Metal catalyst preparation, yeah, reduction of oxide, yeah, for example, nickel oxide into nickel zero, and supported metal catalyst and supported metal catalyst, acid-base catalyst. This is preparation of heterogeneous catalyst preparation. Salt gel process, I think, is very familiar, yeah. The salt gel process is wet chemical technique, yeah, using for the fabrication is both glacier and ceramic materials. In this process, the salt involved gradually, yeah, the salt, yeah, the microscopic particle dispersed on solvent and then aggregation, and then we obtain the network. Yeah, the solvent is the concentration of solvent less than the solids concentration, and then after that we follow by calcination and we obtain. For example, oxide materials. And hydrothermal process, it is if you use the hydrothermal reactor. Intercalation, yeah, and impregnation, the ion exchange is for catalyze. Yeah. We insert materials into layer materials. Yeah. Definition of in chemistry, intercalation in chemistry is reversible inclusion or insertion of molecules or ion into compound with layered structure. But nowadays, the term of reversible is no more used, yeah, because it's possible to, it's not reversible. Yeah. For example, in the formation of pilot clay, yeah, the process is not reversible, yeah, because the pilot is cannot remove from the layer without destructing the structure. Yeah. So this light material we can mix. Yeah, we can insert active material through an exchange, yeah, or particle immobilization in the pilot clay or polymerization, yeah, etc. Okay, this example, yeah. And impregnation method, yeah, for making sport details, yeah, is quite easy. Yeah. The precursor solution mixed with the porous oxide, and then after that drying, following by thermal treatment, and sometimes with reduction, etc., oxidation and reduction. Yeah, this is example of impregnation, dry vacuum, wet vacuum, etc. So in catalyst also we know the terminology of the activation. Heterogeneous catalysis cannot be used forever. Actually, we have to recycle it, yeah, because the catalyst will deactivate, yeah, for prolonged use, yeah. So loss in catalytic activity due to chemical, mechanical, and thermal process, yeah. So we have to regenerate again the but it's the advantages of the heterogeneous catalysis compared to homogeneous catalysis. Okay, after preparation, we should characterize the materials. Actually, materials research is very expensive research, yeah, because we must use many expensive materials, and also the characterization also expensive. Yeah. The heart of the materials, heterogeneous material characterization is XRD, yeah. In my case, yeah, XRD, and then FTIR, same time, PET isothermal, particle size, and thermal analysis. Yeah. This instrument, X-ray diffractometry, FTIR spectrophotometer, X-ray diffractometer, and same time are used in the characterization of catalyst materials. Yeah. So X-ray diffraction give information about catalyst structure and particle size. Yeah. For example, in the right side, this is our research. Yeah, my student. Yeah. Prepare alumina bentonite, yeah, pellet gray. Yeah. So we can see, yeah, in the right side, this is bentonite, yeah, before activation, sodium bentonite, and after activation with clay and the process, yeah, chemical and physical process, we obtain very good peak, yeah, the representative of the 001 interlayer of clay, yeah, or basal spacing. And then we insert it with alumina. There is shift of the peak, yeah. So we can follow the process, yeah, using XRD. XRD also can use to determine the particle size, yeah, with very famous equation. Yeah. This equation is not here. Okay, we can use this peak, yeah, to determine the particle size. Besides the particle size analyzer, yeah. Very recommended this particle size analyzer, but X-ray is the peak of the diffractogram of the materials. It can be used also is to determine the peak. Same time, yeah, okay, same time, yeah, scanning electron microscope is good with the energy disperse analyzer. We can or wavelength dispersive analyzer. The bombardment sample with electron generated X-ray characteristics of the elements present. Actually, the principle of these instruments like optical instrument, but we use electron gun, yeah, instead of visible light. Yeah. We can see the extra morphology, yeah, of the SEM. Yeah. It's very good instrument to observe the crack, for example, in the materials. Yeah. But for some materials, maybe it's not very satisfy certification, not to satisfy to determine some properties of some materials. Okay, for transmission electron microscope, for example, if we mix such as alumina, appeller clay, and or supported catalyst, is very good instruments. Yeah, transmission electron microscope is microscopy technique. Yeah, transmission electron microscopy is microscopy technique in which a beam of electron is transmitted through specimen, yeah, to form an image. Yeah. Fortunately, in department chemistry we have one. Yeah. So we can use it, yeah. Maybe in Indonesia still limited, yeah, this facility. We can observe, yeah, the layer, yeah, rather than SEM, yeah. So this is clay, yeah, we can see the layer, yeah. The internal structure of this material, the clay, the layer, and after polarization, also we can see the layer. So using this instrument, we can observe the materials. There is a destruction or not, image or not. Yeah. For example, in this our experiment, yeah, published in Nanohybrid and Composite, yeah, so we can see that there is no damage of the structure of the clay after polarization. The layer still exists. Surface area and pore size of the carrier of the matrix. Yeah. Yes, pore size is very important. Yeah. Because if the pore size is too small, yeah, there is a diffusion resistance, yeah, in the process. Yeah. It's usually advantageous to have high surface area to maximize the dispersion of catalytic components. Yeah. So it's very important if we make a spotted catalyst. For example, insertion of or inclusion of metals into pore or layer structure. Yeah. We have we must know the pore of the materials that we will use here for the process. This example of our research, yeah, absorption disruption is certain pattern of bentonite, yeah, before and after treated with after being treated by alumina, yeah. Of course, we don't use oxide, alumina oxide, yeah. We use precursor, yeah, aluminum chloride, followed by hydrolysis, etc. Yeah. And then oxidation, and we obtain alumina bentonite, and insertion of chrome, yeah, through salt of the chromium, followed by calcination and reduction using hydrogen gas. We see from this picture, yeah, there is a hysteresis. This means there is a pore in the materials, yeah, and there was an increasing of surface area. Yeah. For example, it's bentonite, yeah, 109. No, not very. Surface is not very affected, yeah, if it's pore, yeah. But there is a decreasing, yeah, thing in this pore due to introduction of chrome into the interlayer. Why did the surface area not significantly different? Because bentonite is dynamics interlayer. Dynamic layer. This is very hygroscopic materials compared to the alumina bentonite from structure. That is from structure. Its bentonite is a very hydrophilic. Yeah. Sorry, hydrophilic. Yeah, it's like water, love water. Yeah, and then the layer is dynamic. Yeah, easy to expand. Yeah. So maybe during the analysis, this material absorb water, and then it's not a real surface area. Actually, it must be dried, yeah, around 100, and before the material analysis being analyzed, it must really dried, yeah. Okay. And the next is Fourier IR spectrophotometer, yeah. FTR stand for Fourier transform infrared, the preferred method of spectroscopy and the material analysis. Yeah. Some information, I think we understand. Yeah. It can identify unknown materials. It can determine the quality or consistency of the samples. It can determine also the amount of component in the mixture. This is also the example of my structure. Yeah. Submitted in published in Nanohybrid and Composite. In the top of this figure, we can see the structure of the infrared spectra of the H bentonite. Yeah. B is alumina bentonite and chrome. The most important thing is there is no damage in silica structure. Yeah. That's mean the structure is still good. Yeah. Still exists the layer, and it's relevant with the other analysis, for example, TEM, and also the XRD of these materials. Yeah. Okay. And particle size analyzer, yeah, to determine the dimension of particles. Yeah. We can also use X-ray diffractometry method, yeah, but particle size analyzer is, I think, is more representative in this case. Yeah. So we can see the distribution of the particles using particle size analyzer. And thermal analysis, with this material, we can study the material qualitative and quantitative. Using DTA, for example, we can determine the kind of the materials. Say, for example, kaolinite. Yeah, this is typical kaolinite DTA. Yeah. The kaolinite DTA. Yeah. And other materials has a typical profile. Yeah. It's different with, for example, other smectite classes such as montmorillonite. Yeah. Okay. So this is very interesting, yeah, to study the material. Also, we can observe, we can determine the amount of the materials, yeah, absorbed on other materials. For example, if we insert materials into the interlayers of the clay or pore of the zeolite, and we can determine directly use this TG, thermal gravimetry analysis. Thermal analysis, TG, quantitatively, yeah, the drop represent to the amount of the material absorbed on other materials, yeah, or part of these materials. Okay. The catalyst application on biofuel preparation, yeah. My research mostly related with this topic, yeah, catalyst application on biofuel preparation, especially biodiesel, biogasoline, and some of deethylator and demethylator. Yeah, hydrocracking process is cracking process that is higher molecular weight hydrocarbon pyrolyzed to lower molecular weight, yeah, paraffin and olefin in the presence of hydrogen. Yeah. We can use vegetable oils such as palm oil, ya. Use palm oil, jelantah, ya, populer. Use misalnya goreng bekas jelantah, and maybe CPO parit, ya, in Sumatera, Palembang, very famous, ya, palm oil, CPO palm oil parit, ya, PON, ya, PON CPO. Actually, waste of the palm oil processing. So we can use supported catalysts, yeah, such as zeolite and pyroxene clay. Also nowadays we use also silica, zirconia. Yeah. The right side, yeah, examples of the use of the zirconia of this is result of my research, my student PhD research, published in RSC Advances last year. We use zirconia and zirconia sulfated, and platinum as active material is spotted on the sulfated zirconia, and we can see the distribution of the product. So the result, some is in gasoline fraction, and some in, I think this is diesel, diesel fraction, fraction. Okay, biodiesel preparation, there are two kind of the process here. First is single step. We can directly convert the vegetable oils into biodiesel using base catalyzed. It's very simple process actually. The challenge is how to make the powerful catalyzer, very active catalyzer. This is the challenge. The process is conducted in around 60 degrees Celsius. So take some energy. If it's very interesting if we can decrease the temperature, so that we can process the vegetable oil into biodiesel at room temperature. This is the challenge. Maybe someday we can make such as catalyst to be used in room temperature. It's still dream. Okay, this process very simple. Even in our kitchen, we can make this biodiesel. We can mix methanol or ethanol, but mostly it's methanol and catalyze. Catalyze is whether both. We can use homogeneous or heterogeneous. In industry, I think it's still use homogeneous. Kalium hydroxide, or sodium hydroxide, and dissolve in methanol, and then we obtain the homogeneous catalyst. Heterogeneous catalyst maybe still in using laboratory. I don't know, in another country, whether the such catalyst has been used to produce single-step biodiesel preparation. Okay. This is vegetable oils, methanol, and sodium or natrium or base catalyzed, and then we obtain the mixture of fatty ester or biodiesel and glycerin. The glycerin also can be converted into fuel. Next is the two-step biodiesel preparation. In case the concentration of the free fatty acid of FFA high, more than 5, some researchers called stated more than 3% of FFA in vegetable oil is dangerous for the for making biodiesel. So we must decrease the concentration of the free fatty acid using pretreatment. Usually we use acids catalyzed to decrease the fatty acids for the first treatment, for the first step. I'm sorry, and we obtain fatty acid, alkyl ester, and water. Water is quite dangerous because with sodium it can form sabun. Okay, so we must remove water from the process. after the first process, we must dry the product with sodium with the drying materials. And then after the fatty acid decrease decrease diturunkan less than is better than less than 1%. We can later process process the vegetable oil to the next steps using this catalyze in alcoholic environments, and then we obtain fatty acid, alkyl ester, and glycerol. We can determine the concentration of the fatty acid by diesel using GC and also using GC and also its NMR. We have experiences using both heterogeneous or homogeneous catalysis in this process. Okay, this the step of the preparation of the biodiesel using two-step preparation. The reactor 1, solid acid catalyze, a filter to filter the solid acid catalyst, to spirit it from the system, and then the triglyceride or the vegetable oil then treated in the second reactor by solid base catalysis, and then after that filtered, and evaporate. Then we obtain biodiesel and glycerol. Alcohol dehydration is hard research, but if you use homogeneous catalysis such as sulfuric acid, is relatively simple. But using heterogeneous materials, catalysis such as zeolite is quite hard. The rendement is very low. Okay, but it's challenging. I think someday we can obtain the materials that can be head-to-head compared to the sulfuric acid. Okay, we dehydrate the ethanols, for example, using this catalyst, acid catalyst, solid acid catalyst, or homogeneous, and then we obtain the ethylator or the methylator, depend on the reagent that we use. If we use methyl alcohol, then we obtain the methylator, and then we use ethyl alcohol, we obtain the ethylators. The temperature is high, 141, around, around 140. Okay.
Prof, karena waktunya 5 menit lagi.
Okay. That is very. Ini baru masuk sampai some example that we some research that we have done in our laboratory, hydrothermal preparation of platinum-loaded sulfated zirconia catalyzed for the effective conversion of this low density polyethylene to gas and rinse hydrocarbon. We use sulfated zirconia, and then platinum dispersed on these materials. So we can see the dispersion is good, using hydrothermal, relatively homogeneous material we obtain, this in this matrix. And using XPS, we can observe also that the conversion is also good, that oxidation and followed by reduction using hydrogen gas, we obtain until more than 80% of platinum in form of platinum zero. So the rest is maybe still in salt or still in oxide form. Mostly maybe still in oxide form. Okay, this acidity of the nanomaterials, after insertion of the platinum, after sulfate of increase, and then after inserted by platinum also increase, because the platinum provide Lewis acid. Also from the IR spectrum, we can see there. This one is nano zirconia. We use commercial nano zirconia, and we also in another case using precursor zirconium oxychloride. But in this case, we using powder, nanopowder zirconia. Yeah. Okay. The XRD also, there's no damage in the structure after being treated with sulfuric acid and as well as with platinum. Yeah. Okay. So the PET surface, yeah, nanozirconia, there is decreasing, maybe sulfuric acids form a network in the structure, so reduce the surface area of the materials. Yeah, yeah. Then there is also increasing in the PET surface after inserting platinum. Yeah. Maybe the platinum contribute to increase the surface of the materials. Okay, this is a decreasing of sulfuric acid. Yeah. So from the GC, we obtain this distribution, yeah, of the material using various temperature, yeah, and then from time, yeah, versus yeah, product distribution from the heterogeneity of this LDPE of various time, yeah, at 250. Yeah. The 250 is we obtain is quite good result, yeah, increasing the temperature, decrease the gasoline fraction. So this is the stability of the structure. So after 6 time process, yeah, if you use platinum nanozirconia, it's a relative stable structure. Yeah, the catalyst, the activity of the catalyst. Yeah. But without platinum, yeah, there is a decreasing of the activity of the catalyst. Okay. In conclusion, another example for biogas process is synthesis chrome alumina bentonite and composite for hydrocaking catalysis of castor oil. We use another materials, composite, nanocomposite. Yeah. We have discussed it, the data, yeah, previously. Yeah. Okay. The data, and then we also obtain the okay, the speak analysis of castor hydrocaking product. Yeah, the percentage. Also, I'm sorry. Yeah, the highest conversion. Yeah, using this nanocomposite is by 64% around, and mostly is light hydrocarbon fraction. Yeah. Premium benzene. Yeah. But biogasoline preparation, we use feed is palm oil meal equivalent or CPO parity. Yeah, okay, this is also the result is quite good also ya. Saya percepat, I'm sorry ya. Nanti mungkin bisa share ini, you can share this PPT as well as the publication maybe. Or another what is it? I think it's biodiesel ya, biodiesel preparation. Yeah, the biodiesel preparation. We use sulfated zirconia and zirconia. This CaO disposed on zirconia. That's mean that's it to solid materials, solid catalyst. Put in the first treatment and the second for the transtorification process. Yeah. It's quite good also the result. Yeah. The increasing of mole ratio will increase the decreasing of the free fatty acid if you use sulfated zirconia. And then, and then the catalyst weight, yeah, also will decrease the free fatty acid on the vegetable oils. Yeah. Okay. This one decrease free fatty acid in the material versus reaction time. Yeah, another biodiesel preparation. We have synthesis dengan sulfated zirconia mesopore, yeah, and its application on lauric esterification. We use CTAB as template, yeah, to make mesopore, yeah, of the zirconia, to make a mesopore zirconia. Yeah. So the template is as material to make to induce the pore of the materials. Yeah, this is the application of this material is quite good also. Yeah. So methyl lauric acid from methyl lauric yield from steroid of lauric acid over catalysis prepared. The best one, I think, in this composition. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, time is up. Yeah. Thank you very much for your vision attending this lecture. Saya kembalikan, Mbak. Mudah-mudahan nanti ada discussion-nya. Mudah-mudahan saya jawab. Thank you very much.